So, hello there.
Hello.
Here is the third Night at the Movies podcast, where I talk movies, TV, and all things I want for about half an hour to an hour, once or twice a week.
Oh yes, ensure that you check out the first two podcasts.
Oh yes, don't forget to check out those podcasts. Check them out on. And today I'm joined once again by, what you heard him talk, Lewis, as we talk once more about our favourite franchise. Last time we was on here, we talked about Indiana Jones. Well, a bit. We didn't just talk about Indiana Jones. But we're talking
about 10 favourite movies each.
Yeah, we're talking about Indiana Jones again today. And also we're talking about the fact that E.T., the extraterrestrial, is turning 40 years old. And we're going to watch it on Friday. But we'll talk about that a bit later in the podcast.
Is that why they're showing it in the cinema? Because it's for the 40th anniversary? Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Pieces are coming together.
Yeah.
Also, I should say, if you're listening to this podcast on Spotify, then you can watch it visually on YouTube. It's a channel with the same name, Night of the Movies. And also, if you are watching this on YouTube, hello there, we're giving you a little wave. But you don't have the time to watch the full podcast. But you don't have the time to watch the full podcast on YouTube. You can also check it out audibly on Spotify, and again, it has the same name, Night of the Movies.
And it's more than worth checking out King Knight 5 on 5's podcast on Spotify.
Oh yeah. But also, if you like the podcast, do remember to, like down below, subscribe, come back for more, tell your friends about how much you liked it, because we know you will. And also,
it's worth it.
Please come back for more, because it is much appreciated when people do listen to these podcasts, and also when they watch them on YouTube.
It's a pleasure.
Anyway, as I've already mentioned in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about E.T. a bit later, but we're also going to be talking about Indiana Jones. And more specifically, we're going to talk about our excitement for the new Indiana Jones film, Indiana Jones 5, as it's called at the moment. So, Lewis, let's start with you. Why are you excited for the new Indiana Jones?
Well, I'm excited for the new Indiana Jones for several reasons. As everybody, as probably a lot of people on your channel might know, for anybody who has listened to the first podcast, which we did 2 weeks ago now, I'm a massive Indiana Jones fan and geek, and there's a chance that some people might be able to see my Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom picture in the background.
If you watch it on YouTube,
fair enough. Yeah, if you're watching it on YouTube, so if you're just listening to the podcast, no problem.
Lewis has a Temple of Doom post in the background.
I do, and I've also got a Raiders of the Lost Ark poster up in my room and the Last Crusade. Don't have a fourth one. I've never really wanted to get a fourth one, but probably will at some point.
Fair enough.
But the fourth film doesn't quite have the same effect as the original three, to say the least. But I've always loved Indiana Jones, so it was perfectly natural for me to look forward to Indiana Jones 5, and I can't wait to see Harrison Ford again. I haven't seen Harrison Ford in a new film for years. Since last time, since
Rise of Skywalker.
Since the Rise of Skywalker. Well, not many years ago, but I mean actually, like in a film a lot, like a regular actual character. So it'd be great if Harrison Ford to he's literally going to be the protagonist again, so that'd be good. I didn't see him in his 2019 film of him and a dog. I can't remember the actual name, but that film. What's the name of that film?
Called Wild. I saw that in 2019 and I gave my review of this channel. It was okay. It was a nice film. I wouldn't say it was anything special, but it was nice. As for me with Indiana Jones 5, I've spoken about this many times on the channel. This is my most anticipated movie for next year, undoubtedly. I mean, I'm looking forward to other films as well next year, like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but at the same time, though, like, this film, I've looked forward to ever since I saw Kingdom Come to cinema back in 2008. I can't tell you how excited I am for this movie. It's truly astounding. And the things we know about it are quite exciting as well. The fact that we have Harrison Ford returning, the fact they're quite an interesting cast, and Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who obviously wrote Fleabag, and she wrote the first thing in Eve.
And also, I apologise for interrupting you there, but I'm looking forward to. I can't wait for a John Williams score again. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was going to touch on a bit later. But also we have Mads Mikkelsen playing the villain. You also played the villain in Casino Royale. He played the villain in Doctor Strange. He's a great actor. and he's playing the villain, which I'm very excited about. And also, we know that we're going to talk about it again in a bit more detail. I've got a little list on my laptop about what we're going to talk about. But also, you know, we have, like Lewis already mentioned, John Williams come back to do the musical score. There's rumours that it's going to be his last. I don't know if that's true, because he came out and said something like, "This may be my last film I score." I mean, it may not be. It may be as well at the same time, because he said something on the lines like,
"A perfect way to end."
It would be, yeah.
There's literally no better fitting way for John Williams to end his composing career as doing it for Indiana Jones 5.
But also at the same time, another thing, you know, he also said that like, if he got the chance to compose something else, so he would. He said that this isn't necessarily him retiring, so it was a bit of a weird comment, but it might be his last score, and if it is, then that's completely fine.
I think he's an absolutely incredible man. The fact that he's 90 and he's composing the music for yet another Indiana Jones movie is just. You couldn't have predicted it.
This would be his last Indiana Jones score that he does. I think he's.
Obviously.
Yeah, because I don't think I don't know. And there's a good chance there will.
I'm expecting this to be the last Indiana Jones film. I mean,
I hope it will be. I really hope. But I also said that about the latest Jurassic World, and from what I've heard, they're planning to make more Jurassic World movies, which really aggravates me. So
I find that hard to believe after. Okay, this might be a controversial opinion.
It's not controversial.
Okay,
it's about how much we dislike for the new Jurassic World.
Guys, I'm gonna be like, I feel a bit sexist sometimes whenever I say the word guys, because I feel like that's just referring to guys when obviously. But obviously, I know that girls will like. I know that girls may well be watching and listening as well. So
okay, girls watching,
guys and girls. Okay, so I'm addressing this to all the guys and girls listening or watching this podcast. After doing that rant, I forgot what I was going to say.
No, but I think the point we're making was Jurassic World Dominion. I didn't know that's the name.
I thought it was Pants.
Yeah, and I totally agree. It's monumentally disappointing, probably the most disappointing film I've seen in the past couple of years.
I was looking forward to getting out of the cinema.
I love the Jurassic franchise. Adore the first one to pieces. Love the second film. Don't care what anyone says. Third film is crap. Fourth film, though, I love as well. Fifth film has some problems, but I think it's fun. I think it's okay. I don't think it's terrible. Okay, it's not really a great film, but still, there's parts which I like. But the new one is so awful.
Yeah.
And like,
it felt like a bad Doctor Who special the way that we described
I remember my brother coming out of the cinema after he watched it. He watched it a couple of weeks after everyone else did, a couple of weeks after I did. And he said it was like a Christmas special, and that's what it is. You have the original cast there, you got the new cast from the Jurassic World films. Like, we're going to bring them together. Why? Because we can't.
I'm pretty sure that's what our dear friend Oliver.
Really annoys.
I'm pretty sure that's how. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how our dear friend Oliver Taylor described it as well.
Yes, Oliver, who you might have seen quite a few times on the podcast, on the channel in the past. But if you are listening to the podcast, you can also check them out on the channel and some past blogs.
Oh yeah, especially the table tennis video from 2019.
Oh yeah, that was ages ago. I don't know how many of our current subscribers will know that.
Fair enough. Well, if you go back that far,
yeah, way ago. But
quite a bit has happened since.
It was also my 500 video, so by the way, if you haven't checked that out, do go. But yes, this is mainly a podcast, so let's just focus on the film. Let's not focus on the YouTube side of it. This is going on YouTube, so all our friends on YouTube, hello there. But at the same time, though, this is predominantly for podcast.
Yeah, so I was getting a bit off track there, King Knight.
Yeah, we were talking more about the channel.
Mr. King Knight.
And also, we completely forgot what to talk about. We're talking about Indiana Jones 5. And yes. we had a bit of a rant about Jurassic
World. Let's stick to Indiana Jones 5.
No, but what we were saying was, Jurassic World Dominion. I, in particular, went to go watch that, and I thought, it's going to be a great last movie. Fingers crossed it is. And then it wasn't the last film. It didn't feel like the last film. It didn't feel like a conclusion of the franchise. It may well be the final film. I don't think it is, by the way. But it may well be the final film in the Jurassic World franchise. But it didn't feel like it. And I want this new Indiana Jones film to feel like a final movie in the Indiana Jones franchise. Even if it's not.
I think it will. I'm very optimistic for this Indiana Jones 5.
Even if it isn't the final film, I want it to feel like it, because this is going to be Harrison Ford's last. He has come out and said that. I can't see Harrison Ford do many more of these anyway.
No, he's only 80 though. He could act for at least another 5.
Oh no, he could act. Absolutely, he's doing more stuff.
I mean, if you look at Jack Nicholson, he's like 86 and he's still.
I think he's starting to do like some TV shows, which is great because that means Harrison Ford is sticking around on our screens. But at the same time, though, I don't think he can do many of his action movies. That's what I'm trying to say.
No.
I'm a bit surprised he's doing this one at this age. Like
I
he's
think
going to be like 80 or 81 when he walks the red carpet for this film, which is just it's kind of amazing. It really, really is, and I just wanted to feel like a conclusion more than anything.
I mean, for me, it felt like he was at the end of his action role. For me, when he did Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I can't believe Indiana Jones 4 was 14 years ago already. Time has flown by. But for me, it felt like he was at the end of his acting then. The fact he's going back to it 14 years later is just...
Well, to be fair, he did do... You know, it wasn't like he stopped doing action movies entirely after that. I know you haven't seen it, but he did do Blade Runner 2049 in 2017. It's got the walls out there, you guys can't see that. But yeah, he did do Blade Runner 2049 in 2017, which... He didn't do a lot of action stunts, but he did do quite a few from what I remember. Only seen the film once. I know some, sci-fi geeks out there consider it one of the best made sci-fi films of all time. I'd have to go back and rewatch it, to be honest. I don't remember much from it. But at the same time, though, the fact that he's coming back for this film is great. We have heard that he did actually have some injuries while making this movie. Like, apparently he was practicing a fist punch
I don't think I've
sequence, and I think he pulled his arm or something. And that was only a fist punch sequence. So God knows what else.
Well, they're probably gonna have a stuntman playing him. I would have thought a few times, but when he's actually when you actually see him presumably fighting, and it's going to have to actually be Harrison Ford when it's close up and you can actually see...
Well, I think that was the set for they were recording in Glasgow. They were shooting the film in Glasgow because it's cheap to shoot films in the UK. So they're shooting the film in Glasgow, they're shooting the scene, and they had Harrison Ford's stunt double there, but not Harrison Ford, which I thought was a bit funny. So... Maybe they're going to do like a CGI face thing. I don't know.
It's going to be... I mean, I hope that they don't do that, but...
No, but like, I don't think it's going to be obvious. But at the same time, no... It's going to be like, Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, Leia in Rogue One. When they show up and they look... Maybe a bit like... I don't know for certain. I'm just guessing.
I don't know if I would feel right, to be honest with you. I don't know how that would sit with me. But another thing, I'm actually surprised... I've never actually really thought about this until now. I'm surprised that they haven't actually come up with an actual movie title for Indiana Jones 5. We've literally just been calling it Indiana Jones 5.
Well, that is the thing that I wasn't going to tell you earlier. So me and Lewis went out for a meal... And we were talking about Indiana Jones 5 excitement on the way up there. And I said, I'm going to hold one thing back for the podcast because I want to hear your reaction when we're on the podcast.
That's a good job.
And so this is a leak title. This might not be true. Bear in mind, this might not be true. This might be completely and utterly false. Where's my phone? I'm just going to double check it. I get the title right.
But this is the first...
This is the leaked title according to someone I found it on the internet. So if you give me a second here,
I'm surprised that they haven't actually given a title.
Well, no, this podcast, by the way, is coming out. I think it's going to come out September the 2nd, on the Saturday, and I think a week from when this podcast comes out, I think people at D23, this big Disney Expo in America, are going to get their first teaser in Indiana Jones 5. Whether it be released to the public is going to be a different matter, but I also think that the name's going to get revealed there, and I'm going to actually look up the name. So you just fill in a sec.
I've literally got no idea what to expect. I don't know, because we don't know anything about the film, so... Well, hardly anything. We know that I'm pretty sure Indiana Jones 5 brings the Nazis back and includes them again, like in The Last Crusade.
I found it the other day once, and I don't want to get into plots and notes or anything like that. Because, right, if you give me just a brief second, because I looked up on my laptop the other day, and I seen... Okay, here it is. So, the leaked title, and this might not be true, we might be eating up our words in about a week's time.
Or it might be true.
But the leaked title, according to this website, is Indiana Jones and the Order of the Elysium.
What does Elysium mean?
Now, I looked up the other day, and I think it's something like the passing of death. So, I don't know... I don't know how. I think it is. I might be wrong there, but that's the title. We're doing quotation marks there, quote unquote title. That might be completely and utter nonsense. That might not be the title.
It depends on where the source has come. It depends on where the source.
Yeah, but apparently someone got that because they saw a copy of the script. Now that might just be the working title that they sort of have for the movie. So that might actually be.
It doesn't really mean anything, really.
Yeah. So right now, I'd probably take that about 40% chance to be in the name. I think there's a chance it is a name. I don't think there's a very good chance it is though. But it could well be at the same time. You've got to keep that in mind. What are your thoughts on the name then? Because I already knew about this beforehand.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. As soon as you said it to me, then I wasn't. I don't feel wowed by the name. I don't. I don't feel like it's an amazing name, but I think it's a better name than the fourth film for a start. The
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the fourth film's title is quite literally the longest movie title I think I've ever heard of. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. It takes you about a year. It takes you about a minute to actually say the name of the film. Whereas the others was just Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Right, so this is what Eliza means,
I think,
by the way.
So I want to say Indiana Jones and the Order of what?
The Elysium.
Indiana Jones and the Order of the Elysium. It sounds alright.
So this is what Elysium... I might be pronouncing the word wrong, to be honest, because I've never heard the word before this week either. But apparently the word means the abode of the blessed after death.
I literally have no idea what that means either.
But that's the thing. I at first when I read the title,
it sounds very like mysterical.
Yeah, but that's the thing. When I first read the title, I was a bit really. But then, because I read the title a couple of days ago before we were doing this podcast, I kind of thought about it a bit more. Like, actually, you know what? That sounds mysterious. That sounds a bit spooky. That sounds a bit like, intriguing. It sounds a bit enigmatic. And I kind of want to see that movie now. I don't know what... Okay, bear in mind as well, this might be the title, but if it is, it sounds spooky, it sounds different, and it doesn't sound generic as well, which kind of like, it isn't just like Indiana Jones and the quest for the Grey Stone. It's like
but I feel like Indiana Jones 4's title was a bit generic. Indiana Jones, you think that they could have come up with something better, but
Indiana Jones 4 Van incoming.
Yeah, but I know we're talking about Indiana Jones 5, but we're still talking about Indiana Jones right now. So I think this kind of passes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, but basically Indiana Jones in general. This podcast. So at the moment,
yes.
Indiana Jones 4. Literally everything about that film, the cast, the script, even the title. I mean, I'm not being funny. For a start, the title's a bit long. Okay.
No, but the cast...
also, sorry, one sec. I just got to say, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, you think they could have come up with something better than that? I mean, I know Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That sounds simple, but in a good way.
They could have just called it Crystal Skull. I think that might have been a bit better. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull.
It would have been. I would have preferred that.
That's short and sweet. Like, what's the Crystal Skull? Like, okay, Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. What's the Temple of Doom? Indiana Jones' Last Crusade. Ooh. Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Not what it was originally called. It was just originally called Raiders of the Lost Ark. But it sounds better. And the cast, I don't actually think there's anything problematic about the actors. Like, you got, what's his face?
I've got nothing against
John Hurt as Oxley in there.
I like John Hurt.
John Hurt's a great actor.
I love John Hurt and
Alien.
Alien, but also if you haven't, it's an old film, 1971, and I love this movie called 10 Millington Place.
That's
Have
great.
You seen that?
I forgot it was called.
He's good in that.
I was going to be.
He's very young in that. He's in his 20s.
With Richard Attenborough, is that the right?
Yeah, Richard Attenborough. He plays a London serial killer from the early,
it's a great
50s.
movie that.
But it's also got Judy Geeson, who's a sister.
A bit of a sad
Sally
movie
Geeson.
as well. I remember it being quite sad.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's very, I think Richard Attenborough.
I think it's true as well.
Oh yeah, it's a true story. I don't know if Richard Attenborough got an Oscar for that award, but he was brilliant.
I don't know if he. I think he might have got an Oscar for directing for Gandhi. But anyway, let's never hear that.
I'm not seeing
John Hurt. I don't know actually, but John Hurt's a great actor. You have Kate Blanchett as the villain. You have Shia LaBeouf as Mutt.
You got Ray Winston.
Yeah, Ray Winston who
as Mac.
He's been in some decent things. He's not a bad actor. You've got Karen Allen returning as Marion. Pardon me. There you've got this great list of actors. You got Jim Broadbent supporting him as well, but then
I love him from Only Fools and Horses.
Brilliant,
hilarious,
and Hot Fuzz as well. Sergeant looks like Eagle, but anyway, you've got these great acts in there, but it's so disappointing. The movie, it really is, and it's a shame that, because it should have been brilliant. Like, I watched like a little Spielberg documentary recently, and they had all these actors like Harrison Ford. They had, you know, Sean Connery. He wasn't actually in the fourth film. They had them all going, "Oh my God, you know this. If the fourth film's good, we're gonna make it brilliant. There's no film competing against it." And it's so disappointing.
It's a shame. I take it. Indiana Jones 4 wasn't the best movie of 2008.
No, I don't know what it was.
It probably wasn't anywhere near it.
No, I don't really know. Off the top of my head, I don't know what came out in 2008.
It should have been one of the best.
I'm not great with years, unless it's like most recent years when we're doing this channel. I remember films that from like 2019 onwards, but that's it really. But like, I remember. What I mean there is like specific years.
I can't think of anything else.
Like if you said a film that came out in 2019, 2020, 2021, or this year.
Because that's recent.
That's okay, I know. Okay. If you said like Northman to me, okay, I know that's 2022. But I wouldn't be able to say, you know, when Thingy came out. I wouldn't be able to say when such thing came out. But you get the point I'm making. But like, oh God, we're just going on a rant about Indiana Jones 4 and we're meant to be talking about it outside. Right, let's get back on this podcast. It's such a mess today.
It's because I hope not in too much of a bad way.
No, hopefully you guys are still enjoying it.
But as long as you guys and girls are entertained, that's all that really matters.
And by the way, sorry if you can hear a vacuum in the background.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that.
Hopefully there's not that much sound.
Yeah. I don't understand why the vacuum is on of all the moments. It happens to be the time that we're sat here doing the podcast.
And also, we haven't actually said this. If you watch this on YouTube, we're in a different room.
Yeah.
For the past,
I don't know if you know.
We keep changing rooms for the podcast. One of the rooms will stick in, but like in the first podcast, in the playroom in my house. In the second podcast,
in my bedroom.
I was by myself in my bedroom, and now in this podcast, we're together in his bedroom.
Lewis's bedroom.
And I think the next podcast we're going to be in a different room as well, because I have the next one planned for later on this week. We're going to record it then. But anyway, let's go back to Indiana Jones 5. We went on Indiana Jones 4 round there. We keep talking about Indiana Jones 4 whenever together on these podcasts, so we need to stop it.
I know, it's because we've got so much to say about it, because it was so bad.
We'll do a podcast about Indiana Jones 4 on some point in the future.
It's freaking bad. We should do a podcast designated.
Which is just watching it and going, oh, listen, where?
I'll take that back. I don't think it's so bad. That was a bit of an over-exaggeration. It's just not
hugely disappointing.
It's not good.
Yeah, it's just hugely disappointing. Okay, back to Indiana Jones 5. Lewis, I'm going to ask a question that you might be prepared for, but get prepared for it. Right, do you think that Indiana Jones will die in this film?
I think there is a good chance, which is a shame. I don't want him to die.
Yeah, do you think they're going to do the No Time to Die thing? Give them some really big.
I hope they don't.
Yeah, because he didn't like No Time to Die.
Okay, I know this is a subjective opinion. I'm sorry for any of you guys or girls that actually like No Time to Die, but it's Bond. But I very much dislike it. I like it. I just don't like it.
But that shows you how subjective, film is. I like it. He doesn't. I adore the Batman to pieces. He hates it.
I know, and I hate Top Gun Maverick. But we won't go into that anymore.
Yeah, but you get the point I'm making. So, I actually think they're not going to kill Indiana Jones 5, because when Spielberg was attached to direct the movie, he said that Indiana Jones wouldn't die in the new Indiana Jones film. Granted, he's not directing anymore. It's James Mangold coming on to that, which we'll talk about very, very shortly. But, Spielberg is still attached as a heavily involved producer. As I've read some reports say, he's still heavily involved in the movie. So I do feel he has some say. And so, I'm not going to say it's completely unlikely that
I hope he doesn't.
Dies, but I don't think he will.
I didn't like the idea of No Time. I didn't like. I hated the end of the No Time to Die. Or the fact that
you're not alone.
I feel like I feel like it was unnecessary. But I feel like if they do kill off Indiana Jones, I feel like that's going to be a bit different. I feel like that's going to be different to them killing off Daniel Craig. Not the same.
You got some emotional John Williams score going in the background. Harrison Ford giving the performance in his life, going, "I'm still Indiana Jones."
I'll tell you something. I don't mind that. If they kill him off if they kill off Harrison Ford in a way like that,
in a very Spielberg way.
I don't have anything against that if they do it in a Spielberg way. But the way that they did it in No Time to Die, the fact that you just got Daniel Craig stood there. Just make sure you look after her. See ya, brother. See ya.
Wow. I mean, everyone's crying, and then they all do a little Scotch thing. No, but everyone in the films, I wasn't crying either.
Yeah.
But like, then at the end, all of these, co-workers are doing a drink for me. It's rubbish. Okay, it wasn't rubbish actually. I quite like it, but I joined it with him there. How dare you? I joined it with him. No, I actually quite like Old Stanza. And I actually like the way it was done, I just don't like the idea. I've got to admit, I actually like the way it was done, just not the idea. But still, nonetheless, going back onto what you said before, Spielberg isn't directing this movie. So Spielberg has stepped down as director.
Sorry, one sec. I never imagined. I never imagined what it would be like having an Indiana Jones movie without Spielberg.
Well, we're going to find out next year because he's not directing the new movie. He is attached as an executive producer, which is great, and he has spoken about what he's seen in the film. He has still seen bits of it because he is still involved, but he's not directing. James Mangold, he directed such films as Night and Day, but the best one to start off with, but still he directed Walk the Line, which is a great movie. He's directed 310 to Yuma, he's directed Wolverine, Logan, and he also directed Ford v Ferrari, which is my favourite film of 2019.
Luckily, that's a film that we both actually love. I love Ford v Ferrari as well.
And I'm not into cars. I remember watching the cinema thinking, bloody hell, that's great.
Yeah, I'm not into cars. I'm into cars a bit more than he is, but I don't love that. I'm not into him like our dear friend Oliver Taylor is.
We've already mentioned in this podcast. But he's a great director, and to be honest, I'm kind of more excited about the fact that he's directing this movie. Like, I love Spielberg. He's one of my favourite filmmakers of all time. He's made some of my favourite films, one of which we'll speak about a bit later.
Oh yeah, hint.
But at the same time, though, Indiana Jones 4 isn't that well directed. And so having fresh hands in the franchise,
I don't know what happened.
May be a better thing.
On paper, Indiana Jones 4 is literally... sorry about that. Okay, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut at the moment.
No, but like, you get the point I'm making. To have fresh hands on the franchise might not be the worst idea, because then we can actually have something new and exciting and something that we hadn't seen before. And Mangold's a great director, and he hasn't really made a bad film. I even like Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron Diaz. I think it's kind of fun and quirky and a bit stupid, but I kind of enjoy it.
This is to do with Indiana Jones 5, what I'm about to say here, but no, I know that you can't change history. Obviously, nobody can do that. But if you can't go back in time and not you can't not release a film. If Indiana Jones 4 had never come out in 2008, I reckon this movie would be much bigger and much higher anticipated. Imagine if there was never Indiana Jones 4 and this was the first Indiana Jones since The Last Crusade. Imagine how much, that it would look a lot better.
I completely agree, although that would never
be
happen.
so different.
That would never happen, because the reason this film is so highly anticipated, and the reason a lot of people have quite a lot of mixed excitement for it, and that's the right phrase, but mixed excitement for this movie, is because of Indiana Jones 4. Like, if Indiana Jones 4 didn't happen, Spielberg would die to this movie.
Also, are you saying that Indiana Jones 4 didn't have that much?
No, it did, but now because of the last movie, a lot of people are a bit more hesitant with this film.
That's what I mean. If that last movie had never come out, this movie,
that's complete. But that's like saying, if we didn't, I don't know, if this milk didn't spill, we wouldn't have to stay in the car.
You can't change it. Yeah,
you can't change it. That's a rubbish analogy. But you get the point I'm making, and I think it's a good idea to have James Mangold directing. Fingers crossed he pulls it off.
I don't know anything about him personally, but
there's some reports.
I'm sure it's good.
He co-wrote the script as well, but there's some reports out there that his script for the movie though is pretty damn good.
Did you say is he the same one that directed Ford v Ferrari?
Yeah.
Oh god.
So he's a great director.
I know that about him.
Yeah, and I haven't seen all these movies. I'm planning to before the new film comes out. I'm just working my way through them because some aren't on streaming services, some are. But if you haven't checked out Ford v Ferrari, by the way, sign up here. Phenomenal film. Just so good.
There's another thing that I'm looking forward to about this film. I'm glad that they're going back to. I'm glad that they're including the Nazis.
This is what I was going to go into next. We have Mads Mikkelsen as a villain, and it looks like he's playing an ex-Nazi post-World War II.
Which is going to be very interesting. I've never seen a movie with a post-Nazi.
But we're also guessing that there's going to be a flashback at the start because we saw that they were shooting in England. I spoke about it, it's actually one of my live streams about 2 years ago. about 2 years ago anyway. They were filming in England, and they had like these trains and Nazi signs on. They had this castle which had like Nazi flags over it. So the Nazis are back in this film, which makes sense. You know, every odd number Indiana Jones film has a Nazi. The first film, the third film, and the fifth.
But that's so weird. I wonder if they've done that on purpose.
Yeah, I think they did with this new film. I don't think it was intentional with the first and the third.
No, it's just a...
Because I think Spielberg made Last Crusade as an apology for Temple of Doom because he hated that film so much.
But at the same
apology
time, accepted.
But at the same time, I do think it might have been intentional for this film. I can imagine Kathleen Kennedy, who's head of Lucasfilm, who's producing the film, coming in and saying to James Mangold, include the Nazis in some sort of way, you know, just include them. I can imagine saying that. I can even imagine that exchange taking place in some sort of way. But anyway, yeah, so the Nazis are back. I'm excited to see that. Also, you got Mads Mikkelsen as a villain, and he's come out recently and said things like, you know, the script is great, it's everything I hoped for. Also, he said this great story about Harrison Ford, how they're doing this night shoot. The first time he was shooting with Harrison Ford, they were doing this night shoot, and I think the day after, the morning after, Harrison Ford was riding a bike up and down Glasgow, which is kind of incredible. At the age he is. Crazy. And also...
He looks...
Oh, it has a looks great for his age.
I know a lot of photos that you might see of Harrison Ford. You know, he's obviously got clothes on, he's wearing a fancy suit or whatever. But when you actually see him without anything on, he doesn't look his age. He looks very. He's still got a very good body.
I think Mads Mikkelsen came out recently as well and said that. You know, he'd be walking onto set on some days, and it'd be like he's going back into 1981 when they filmed Raiders, and you know, he said. Pardon me, they said that some of the things that he's seen on set is quite incredible, and he really loves the movie. He says it captures the spirit of the first Indiana Jones films. So, that probably means it's not that silly, because Kingdom of the was a very silly film. But it also means that I think it's more...
In a bad way.
Yeah. I also think it's more on the, you know, the same sort of train track as Raiders. I think it's more on the same lines as Raiders, which is a good thing. I love Raiders, so I'm excited about that.
Also, I don't mean this in the wrong way in terms of the actor playing the ex-Nazi war criminal. But in a way, I actually think his appearance suits his character. Not gonna lie.
I think it's
just his face. I just mean it's just something about him. His face. It's like, you know, he looks like he could have been an ex-Nazi war criminal. I'm not saying he is. Well, he'd be a bit young.
And also, he's quite a well-known actor now. He was in the latest Fantastic Beasts as well. He replaced Johnny Depp's Grindelwald in the latest Fantastic Beasts. I think he did a better job than Johnny Depp. I think Johnny Depp's a great actor, but I think Mads Mikkelsen was better. But anyway, at the same time, though, what was I going to say? I was going to say something else. But yeah, I completely agree. That's what I was going to say.
He actually looks like...
I remember when he got casted, and I looked at the picture.
Sorry, same with Vigil in The Last Crusade. The guy who played Vigil looked the part.
Yeah, I remember when Mads Mikkelsen got casted, I looked at a picture from there, I was like, yeah, I can see that. I can see some great scenes of him in this film as well.
A bit like Vigil
also,
with Last Crusade. Phoebe
Waller-Bridge, who's predominantly a writer, she's got the first season of Killing Eve and Shaw's for Fleabag. She's going to be, as far as we know, the lead female star of the film, and some reports...
Marcus Brody's daughter. Sorry.
I gave it away there. Spoiler alert.
Sorry, okay. Just pretend I didn't say anything.
If you didn't see on the podcast, by the way, I just whacked Lewis over the head, or I just pretended to, my wallet. But still, nonetheless, yes.
I'm sorry about that.
He jumped the gun there. Yeah, there's some reports, so again, this might not be true, but from what I've heard, she's playing Marcus Brody's daughter in the film. Which I think is a great addition. Yeah, that's what we're hearing from some reports.
It's allegedly. It's not
confirmed. So that's great.
Yeah, but that's not confirmed. Sorry. Yeah, sorry for giving that away.
I don't think it's a spoiler because I do think if it is going to be confirmed, it'll be one of the trailers.
Also, it must be out in the open for you to have heard it. So.
Well, it's some sources are saying which aren't always 100% accurate, but you know, I'm mostly accurate. So
I don't see why
take it with a small grain of salt. Imagine I'm holding a small grain of salt. Take it with that and go along with it. But you get the point I'm making. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I would actually love it. I don't think they would do this, by the way. But I actually would love it if they introduced her getting lost in a Royal Museum.
Yeah, I was thinking that. We were talking about it on our walk on the way to our meal before for tea. And I briefly said, I don't know if you heard that, I said... if she is in it, I hope they have her getting lost at some point. You know,
yeah.
Because she's obviously going to be like she's a daughter, not
your daughter. That's what I've heard.
She's obviously going to be like they expect her to take after her father in some way. So
well, yeah, so I love it if she brings that same
that.
sort of comedy as well. Like there's that scene in Last Crusade when you see Marcus.
He's lost in I don't think he's in Cairo.
No, but like, oh yeah, that's a great scene as well. And he's like, does anyone speak English? But also, when they're in the tank as well, and Marcus and Henry...
How does one get off this thing?
No, but like, also, when they're in the tank, they're fighting all the Germans, and Marcus like, well, you see, the pen is stronger than the sword. It's one of my favourite lines in that film. And also, when they do that little handshake as well.
Also, I know this isn't Marcus, but it's to do with Marcus. One of my favourite lines in that movie, this is one of my personal ones. I love it when Connery looks around. This is after Marcus. Okay, if you haven't watched the film, if you haven't seen the film, what are you doing? Okay, I'm going to assume that everyone here has seen The Last Crusade. The scene when Marcus gets knocked off the tank by Connery, you just see Connery all around. Where's Marcus? That is great. I love that.
But
where is it?
I like that. Hypothetically saying she is playing Marcus's daughter. I think that's a great casting addition. And also, we've seen some set photos online which have included Romans in this film. And we know it's definitely for this movie.
I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah. Here's the question I'm going to pose to you now. How do you feel if time travel is involved in this film? I don't think there will be, by the way, but that's one of the theories coming out there.
I'd have nothing to do with it if they just went to a scene back in the past, but if they had like a physical time machine in this movie where Indiana Jones enters a time machine and goes back in time, then obviously that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it could work, but I don't know if it would.
I don't mind the movie just suddenly switching to a scene. You might give like a black screen for a minute and then says like...
Well, like a flashback.
Yeah, like 50 years before, and like 100 years before, and then you see the Romans. But when you say go back in time, obviously you don't mean like them build a time machine or anything like that.
I mean, I hope not. The only thing I can think of if they do time travel is there's some sort of artifact which, if you touch, it takes back time. I think that's silly though, and I don't think they're going to go that direction.
Okay, I don't want to... Indiana Jones... the thing that I love about the four Indiana Jones films is everything that happens in the films could actually happen in real life. Okay, I don't know about the Ark in Raiders, apart from the Ark.
All the aliens at the end of
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, the Indiana Jones films, they're all in a way realistic. They're based on real. They're either based on real events or it could actually happen. Put it that way. So I don't want anything in this movie. You know, I mean, imagine if they built a time machine and went back in time. I mean, what?
I mean, right. The only thing I think it is.
That's ridiculous.
What I think it is, and I might be wrong. Could be totally wrong. I might be eating my words when the film comes out. What I think it is we're going to see a scene where Indy, because he's an archaeologist, is explaining what happened with his artifact, how his artifact came to be, and it's going to be a flashback, and we're going to see intercutting what's really going on, because we've only seen Romans in the flashbacks. We haven't seen any other period of history. Now, we've seen something like Henry VIII on set, that'd be more like, oh yeah, I can see it doing flashback a bit more, but we haven't seen Henry VIII on set. We haven't seen anyone from any other period on set. So I think we've only seen Romans. I mean, granted, they might have filmed some scenes indoors if it does use time travel, but I think that's just too much, to be honest. I mean, I know now it's going to be in the film as well, but I can see that being a flashback at the beginning, and I can see all the Roman stuff, especially because of James Mangold being intercut with some sort of exposition where, I can't pronounce that word for the life of me, by the way, exposition, I also don't like that, but still, nonetheless, I can see James Mangold doing a scene in some sort of way where he's intercutting and Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones are going, well, this artifact was made during the Roman times, and it was fought along for years, and it was taken away by something like that. You get the point I'm making. I can see something like that, but I don't think time travel's a part of it, because I don't feel Spielberg would let that happen.
No.
I think that's too silly for Spielberg.
I like them to somehow subtly include a tribute to Sean Connery in this movie as well.
Which brings on to my next point.
Because obviously
past cast members returning for this new movie. I think there is about a 75% chance that John Rhys Davies returns as Sal for this film because he was in the first movie, he was in the third film, and it would make total sense if he's in the next odd number Indiana Jones movie.
It wasn't. It wasn't in the fourth, so you think
he did get offered.
He got offered. So you think, right? I said no to the fourth one, so I want to do this.
But he's been very open to returning, and I do think that Disney takes note of that. I do feel, and I don't know how people feel about it, but I'm really happy about it. If this is the case, I do feel that this new Indiana Jones film is going to be very much the start of Force Awakens of the Indiana Jones franchise. It's going to have cameos in it. It's going to have, people. It's going to have nostalgic moments. It's going to tap into that. Because that's what Disney does.
Let's be honest. If it's Harrison Ford's last Indiana Jones, then it's the last Indiana Jones. So they need to make the most of
it. That's what Disney does. If you look at the recent Star Wars movies, look at the recent Star Wars TV shows, look at what Marvel does as well.
I hope that Disney gets it right.
They tap into nostalgia all the time in these movies, and so I can totally see that dealing with Indiana Jones 5. So I can totally see John Rhys Davies returning as Stella. Karen Allen kind of has to return as Marion.
Yeah, I mean,
it'd be a bit weird if
she got married. If they got divorced off camera.
Yeah, like that'd be a bit stupid. Like, say all about Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. We've given it a bit of a rant earlier, but that's still canon.
We still need to do a podcast on Indiana Jones 4.
But that's still a canon
for the future.
That's still part of the canon. It's still part of the Indiana Jones story. And if they just completely ignore it in the fourth film, well,
I know is John Hurt going to be in this film?
Doubt. He passed away.
Oh, God, sorry. I forgot.
Came back from the dead. Yeah. But they gave him a script from Beyond the Grave. No, yeah, it's sadly passed away now, which is a bit... He could have been if he was still alive. Yeah. Maybe, but sadly he has passed away. Same with Sean Connery.
Yeah, he was very old.
But yeah, I just feel like she kind of has to be. Also, I don't feel that Shia LaBeouf is going to be returning as Mutt because he said some really bad things about Harrison Ford and Steven Spielberg, so... I don't feel they're going to be returning. I also don't feel they're going to recast Mutt. I don't think they're going to do that.
He's a bit of a Mutt.
I think there'll be like one sentence to explain where Mutt is. Shut up. I think there'll be one scene to explain where Mutt is, like, he's off, I don't know, as a writer now. Just something like that. I can't see it happening because Shia LaBeouf's been a bit bad press recently as well.
I think they should just not mention him. Just forget
I think they will. I think they kind of need to as well because I know some people don't like Mutt. I understand why, but he is still important because he is Indy's son. I understand that. Just for me personally, I think you would need that. But let's go on to something else. Do you think Short Round will be in this film?
Well, I certainly hope he will be. I think there's a good chance. I would have thought there'd be at least a 50-50 chance, at least.
I think there's a good chance as well because, I mean, I actually really hope for this one. I think there's about a 60% chance. I don't think it's very likely, but Ke Kwan, who played Short Round and also played Gadget in the Goonies, he's getting back into acting recently with Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a really fun film. And, I do feel there's a good chance there. Even if it's for a cameo, because I really want this movie to acknowledge Temple of Doom. Because none of the Indiana Jones movies have. It's really annoying that as well, because I love Temple of Doom. I actually kind of prefer it because I loved it as a kid. I kind of felt Raiders, and I adore that movie so much. And I love just a little cameo from Short Round in there, where Indy sees him again and he goes, "You're not so short anymore," something like that. I mean, that was a rubbish American accent, but you get the point I'm making. I would love
Short Round. It's been a while.
Yeah, there's something like that. I do feel. It could even be like the last scene. Indy goes away in the car, and the camera just tracks back. Imagine that the camera just tracks back, and Short Round's in the front driving him away. To his new home in Oklahoma or something. That'd be great.
Yeah, but that's quite literally what Short Round did. He was Indy's driver in Shanghai. So
just apparently, because that was what meant to happen in Indiana Jones 4. When Indy and May meant to get in the car at the end after their wedding and Short Round was driving them, but that never happened. But that would be great.
That's another reason why Indiana Jones 4 got it wrong.
Yeah, but imagine if they get it right in the new film, because I can imagine Disney. I can imagine Disney throwing all the money into this return.
Okay, but it's a shame that I'm having to say this, but Indiana Jones 5, for me, the aim of Indiana Jones 5 is basically to make up. Yeah, basically, it's got some making up. It's got some serious making up.
But I can see, and it's also Ke Kwan, who plays Short Round, has spoken about it recently when he's doing press for Everything Everywhere All at Once, saying how he's open to returning for the new film. Get him back! Just get him back! Because I really want him to be in there. Is there anything else we haven't talked about? Oh, also Spielberg has spoken about this recently. I think he was doing an interview with Lin-Manuel Miranda, who's literally everywhere right now. He was doing an interview saying that he's seen some of the bits of Indiana Jones 5, some of like the shooting, and he's seen some of the film, and he says he absolutely loves it, which is great.
Isn't that what he said about Indiana Jones 4?
Yeah, but to be fair, you know, if you watch them behind the scenes when he's discussing the story with George Lucas and he's discussing the MacGuffin, you know, the Crystal Skull in that movie, he's a bit iffy on the whole idea. But then when you see him talking about his movie, I've only seen the video once, it's on YouTube, you see him he answers like a quick question from like a minute long on YouTube, the clip, and he seems quite excited about the film.
Also, something else that I want to see in Indiana Jones 5. I feel like Indiana Jones 4 didn't have enough of the music from the first 3 films. I know it's a new film, but like when you watch like The Force Awakens, I feel
it's
like
got all the new themes in there,
yeah,
and a lot of the old themes. It's kind of like the perfect new
yeah,
score.
Indiana Jones 4 didn't have enough old themes. It could have at least had. Yeah, you know the X marks the spot theme. It could have had a bit of that.
Yeah.
But I hope that Indiana Jones 5 does the opposite and.
Yeah, like in the Star Wars Force Awakens score, you've got a new theme, you've got Rey's theme, you've got Kylo Ren's theme.
You've also got the old themes.
You've got the March Resistance, but then you got Han and Leia's theme, you've got the Force, you've got Main Star Wars.
The only old theme that Indy 4 had was the obvious one, the Raiders
No, they had a couple. They had, you know, when they saw the Ark, you heard a bit of the Ark theme.
Oh yeah, only for like a second.
And briefly, when they talk about Henry Jones, said somewhere your grandfather. They have a bit of theme for that, but yeah, they don't have a lot of it. And that's not John Williams' fault.
No.
Because in the end, that's Spielberg saying, I want this music in this... Pardon me there. They have Spielberg saying, you know, I want this music in this scene, I want this music in this scene, I want this music in this scene. It's the director's fault there, not John Williams. I think Plus, I do think, by the way, they're going to have loads of old themes in this new film. They're going to tie in nostalgia. The whole point of nostalgia. This is going to be a nostalgic film. You have a bind for it or you're not. It's going to be
I want to have X marks the spot. Oh yeah, sorry, but there is actually one part, another part where they played some of the old music. So I forgot.
Well, Nevin's theme, obviously.
When does that get played?
Well, when they get married.
Oh yeah, well apart from that, okay, they had a bit of the old music. So I take it back. They did have some, but not a lot. And also, it wasn't as noticeable as maybe Star Wars. And also, you know the scene when you see the Barnet College again. They did the yeah. Whatever the name of that movie, they had that like they did with Raiders. Yeah, I like that.
But yeah, this is going to be a legacy sequel. This is a part of the current legacy trend sequels that are coming out. You know, you've got Top Gun Maverick, that's a legacy sequel. Ghostbusters Afterlife, legacy sequel. Star Wars Force Awakens, Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker, legacy sequels. You've got, you know, other legacy sequels come out. There's loads. I'm just trying to think of some of the ones top of my head. Blade Runner 2049, that's a legacy sequel.
Seems like a lot of movies doing it.
Oh, there's one which I'm missing off the top of my head right now. It's going to come to me, which is really, really annoying. I'm pretty sure it's... Okay, yeah, that's kind of. They don't have the same cast returning, that's the point I'm making. No. Ghostbusters had the original cast who's come back. There's another one as well, which did it recently. I thought it was quite good as well, I think. I can't remember what it is now. But I feel Indiana Jones 5 is going to be part of that. And I'm happy about that. I'm not thinking that's a bad thing. You're just going to tap into it. Don't be so pessimistic about it. Just let it go. And I do feel like it's going to, you know, I do feel it's going to have a lot of the old themes in there. I think you're going to get Marian's theme there. I think you're going to get Showman's theme there. I think you're going to get the Ark theme in there. I think you're going to get the... I think you're going to have a lot of new themes as well. Because it's James Mangold, a new director, working with John Williams, and I can imagine him really pushing it. James Mangold strikes me that sort of director.
I thought the new themes in The King of the Crystal Skull were good, but I didn't think they were amazing. They didn't really wow me, but I'm hoping the ones in this film wow me.
I think they will, because John Williams hasn't really done anything since Rise of Skywalker.
Fair enough.
And I think he's been working on the score for a long time. I think they've been working on the film for a long time. So, yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
Well, they've had 14 years to think about another Indiana Jones movie. So.
Terminator Dark Fate, that was another one. Jurassic World Dominion.
Terminator Dark Fate isn't meant to be any good, though.
No, but it's a legacy sequel. They brought Sarah Connor back. They brought Arnold Schwarzenegger back as Terminator. Jurassic World Dominion we hated it, but, you know,
brilliant.
It did bring back the original cast. The latest Matrix film, you know, you get the point I'm making. There's a lot of legacy sequels that will come out recently. I feel like Indiana Jones 5 is going to be the end of that. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Okay, let's talk about the last point in Indiana Jones 5. If it's bad, how would you feel, and would this affect your love of the Indiana Jones franchise?
No, it wouldn't affect my love of the Indiana Jones franchise, but to be honest, it would literally, it would force and push me into literally just thinking about the first three and just blocking out the others, which is a shame, but
And by the way, we hope it's great. We're not one of those people online who goes, it's going to be woke and it's going to be rubbish.
Should I say the problem? For me, the first three Indiana Jones films are that good, they're so good, that it feels like any new ones that they bring out, no matter how good it is not going to be good just because of how good the first three were. I know that sounds a bit weird, but
I know
you know what I mean?
Like,
also, they're literally so perfect that any more that come out, if they make a few mistakes. But to be fair, I feel like King of the Crystal Skull, that film alone wasn't great. So
yeah, I mean, like,
I think this one will be good. Okay, so I want to say, if this film is bad, then I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. I'll be shocked. Put it that way. I'll probably just be a bit like, bloody hell, I don't know what went wrong again. what went wrong?
But like, I do hope it's great though, and if it is bad, I will be shocked because it's James Mangold directing and he hasn't really made a bad film from what I've seen. But I think we'll just have to live through it, you know.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, I mean, the point you were making there, like, no matter how good this film is, I don't know if it's going to live up to what I want it to. It's an interesting point because the original Indiana Jones movies, especially the third one, holds such a special place in my heart that this new Indiana Jones film might be quite literally the best one of all time. And it still wouldn't surpass my love of Last Crusade.
Shall I say what I think? I think we're either going to absolutely adore this film, love it. It's going to be one of our favourite films of the modern era.
I think it will be. We're just talking about hypotheticals.
We're going to hate it.
We're just talking about hypotheticals.
Well, not hate it,
because we're both really excited for this film. Every single time we meet, we always mention Indiana Jones 5 in some sort of way, and the film's not coming out for like another 11,
we're getting the trailer.
months.
We're getting the trailer in a couple of weeks.
Well,
which is crazy.
we think. That's not been confirmed. I think the trailer is going to be shown to people at D23. Whether that gets released online is a different matter. Maybe wait till Christmas because Indiana Jones 5 is being distributed by Disney. So maybe they release it with Avatar 2, aka Avatar The Way of Water. Maybe they release it with that to get some more buzz around it. But basically, we're going to have to speed this up because we've gone way too long about Indiana Jones 5. We're doing another 3 podcasts about Indiana Jones 5.
That's right. Oh yeah, and Indiana Jones 4.
And I reckon we will, by the way. I reckon next week we're going to get an official title reveal. Whether it be the title we mentioned during this podcast, I don't know. But I reckon next week we're going to our first title reveal. We're going to get a full cast reveal and maybe our first teaser trailer.
Hopefully.
Definitely our first poster.
I would love to get one.
Definitely our first poster, I reckon. So yeah, I reckon next week we will see some new stuff, and we will probably do a podcast about that when we next meet. When we meet after that, anyway, because the next podcast we do is going to be on something else. But nonetheless, we're going to move on to our last topic for today. We're not going to make this one long because we're just going to talk about the fact that E.T. the Extraterrestrial. God, we spoke way too long about Indiana Jones 5. E.T. the Extraterrestrial. And we didn't speak about Indiana Jones 5 completely. He just went, Indiana Jones 4. But anyway, but E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Bloody Indiana Jones 4. Sorry for my French.
But E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Right, E.T. I love E.T. So I'm just going to start
jumping in here. I went, whoa, look at that. I love E.T.
Right, I just want to quickly say, guys and girls, I love the John Williams soundtrack for E.T. I think the music in E.T. is top-notch.
It's phenomenal.
And I also, it's a Spielberg classic. I love the directing of the film. The film itself is great.
I feel the film is directed fantastically, although I do feel the score elevates to another level, especially in that final bike sequences. Like when all the bike sequences at the end, it's like watching the film right now, people.
Guys, I'm hoping for that. I basically am John Williams.
But then you get the theme for like the authorial people as well, and how they're all framed in silhouettes is fantastic. Like, you know, it's a great theme, and it's such a magical film. I haven't seen it in a long while, actually. Not since I reviewed it on the YouTube channel. So it's going to be great to see on the big screen, because that's what we're doing on Friday. We'll watch the cinema.
Well, I've obviously never seen it in the cinema, so I'm looking forward to that. And also, I love how much the end scene when they're saying goodbye to E.T. actually makes you feel sad. You don't just sit there and don't. It's not like one of those scenes when it's meant to be. It's meant to make you. They try and make you feel sad, but you just don't feel anything. You actually it works.
And also, the film was shot in chronological order. Like, that doesn't usually happen with films. Usually, scenes in movies are just shot out of order.
Yeah.
But because Spielberg wanted the kids to actually be crying real tears at the end of the film, they shot it in order, so that the kids were all saying goodbye to each other on that final day when they shot the final scene. So there are actually real tears, and it does make it more emotional. And, you know, that is so brilliantly. That's a brilliant fact, by the way. The fact that he did it in chronological order, because that is actually quite a difficult thing to do. Because, you know, you're going to get certain sets for certain days, you get certain locations for certain days. It's really difficult to do that. But somehow Spielberg did that, and I do feel like he did a phenomenal job with this movie. Out of 10, what would you rate it?
I'd have to rate E.T.
I'm not going to say my rating, because I don't want you to just, you know, jump on my... go on the same line as me.
8.8 out of 10.
I'm going to go 9. Because I remember when I watched the film properly for the first time about 5-6 years ago now, it just blew me away. I remember getting to the end and I was almost crying, and I turned to my mum who was watching this with, and really just went, okay, that was perfect. That was like the perfect family movie. And I do feel there's little films like that, like, you know, you got The Adventures of Robin Hood with Robert Flynn from like 1937. I feel that's a perfect family movie as well. But I feel that E.T. is just perfect.
I feel like you don't get. I feel like you don't get family films like E.T. anymore.
No, I mean, you do get so much really magical. Like, I feel How to Train Your Dragon, the first one, is so magical. But, like, at the same time...
Well, that's not real life, though. That's not...
No, it's animation. And, you know, it's Pixar.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying...
No, I know what you mean, but, like...
I love a lot of Pixar films.
But, like, even Pixar started to go downhill, like, Lightyear, which was really disappointing, to be honest.
I've not seen that, and apparently I'm not missing out, so I'm not going to bother.
Onward was good, but it wasn't amazing.
I liked Onward, but...
It wasn't, yeah.
It was a good feel film.
Incredibles 2, again, wasn't amazing, and I do feel the first film kind of was.
I saw Incredibles 2 before the first one.
Yep.
Watching
it in the cinema with him, about to watch Incredible 2 and a bunch of other mates at the time, and the film came on, and I still remember, I think there was turned to me like... with the adverts, things like that, and they just went, I'm looking forward to seeing my first Incredibles movie.
Did you not know that I hadn't seen the first?
I think you briefly mentioned to me, but I hadn't picked up on it really. And so when we watched it in the cinema, I remember just thinking, like, oh, in the opening titles, you got this dum dum dum. It's a great opener actually, but I just remember thinking, Liz not gonna have a clue what's going on in the first 5 minutes.
To be fair, I actually picked up on it pretty good. Yeah, I knew who they were.
It's the power of a Pixar movie. I do feel the best sequels kind of exist by themselves as well, like Aliens. Yeah, I do feel that. But you get the point I'm making. Go back into E.T. when I was track of it there about family movies. We ended up talking about Aliens for that.
Yeah, it's pretty easy for us to go off track.
But yeah.
To be fair, E.T. is an alien though.
Oh, I haven't given my rating. I thought I hadn't given my rating.
9.
Yeah, I thought I hadn't given it. God, I'm losing the will to live. Anyway, yeah, we love E.T. and we can't wait to see it this Friday. We may be talking about it on a future podcast. Maybe when we do our podcast on the Indiana Jones 5 trailer, soon that's come out. By the time we do our next couple of podcasts. Our next podcast, I think, is going to be on The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, we've been planning on doing one of the Phantom Menace. That's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, we're going. That'll be our next one.
Roasting that
probably coming next week for you guys. For us, we'll record it in a couple of days. So, fingers crossed that will go on accordingly and you enjoy that podcast. But also... thank you for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you for listening.
It's always a pleasure speaking for you amazing viewers, all listeners.
It's a pleasure to have Lewis here.
Thank you.
So thank you for listening to Spotify as well. If you have listened to Spotify, if you haven't, do go and check us out on Spotify because I'm not getting many listeners there at the moment. Also, we have been using.
I've been a listener.
Oh, that's
I've gone there. I'm one of the 6.
Brilliant. Yeah, there's not been many listeners whatsoever. But anyway, we have used a different microphone for today as well, so let us know what you think of that. If you listen online. For if you're watching on YouTube, listen on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, the microphone's not going to be different. But still...
I've got one movie recommendation just before we finish.
Oh, here we go. I didn't know this.
Okay, right. It's a movie that... like a bit of an interesting suggestion, right? It's one of those...
I'm going to regret this moment on the podcast forever.
Right. Yeah, well, you better not edit this out, pal. Right. Guys and girls... If you want to watch a movie that's so bad it's hilarious, watch 2007's Norbit with Eddie Murphy.
Don't. I watched 10 minutes of that when we were at my house last time. Absolutely rubbish.
Yeah, but it's so rubbish, it's funny.
It's so bad it's good, not so bad it's bad.
No, sorry, yeah, it's so bad it's good. Like, when I watched Nutty Professor from the 90s, that was so bad it's bad. Don't watch that, that is rubbish. But Norbit is rubbish, but it's funny.
In his subjective opinion.
My subjective opinion.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. If you actually want a good film recommendation, I've been watching quite a few recommendations. But yeah, if you want a good film recommendation, I'd say recently watched Cinderella Man. That's a great movie. A Beautiful Mind. That's great. Coming on Netflix. I also watched Cinderella. Commando, I'm not going to recommend.
No, but even I won't recommend that. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What else did I watch recently?
I recommend the first Predator. If you haven't seen the original Predator in 1987,
I made a list because I often forget when I watch something recently.
Watch Predator.
And I have to remember sometimes. One sec. Just fill in the gaps here. The Mad Max movies. I've probably got a video coming out that soon.
I've seen the first Mad Max.
Great, isn't it?
It is.
I've seen all of them now. They get better. I'm going to show you them.
Yeah,
we're going to do a podcast.
I've seen the first one.
We're going to do a podcast on that in the future because they get even better. I think the latest Mad Max and Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, are two of the greatest sequels of all time. Also, Boiling Point is great. Collateral.
There's this horror film called The Thing, but the original from the 80s.
Yeah, the original Thing, The Fly, that was great. The Colour Money.
I like The Game with Michael Douglas.
I think that's bad. So
That's another subject.
My least favourite David Fincher film, to be honest. True Lies, that was a bit fun.
What's Cinderella Man?
It's a boxing film set in the 1970s with Russell Crowe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why is it called Cinderella Man?
Well, you have to watch the film to find out.
I'm
not going to give it
That sounds
away.
perfect, I'm gonna lie.
It's actually quite good. I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't the film I expected it to be, but it was good.
I like Russell Crowe in Unhinged from 2020. That's like it's the best road rage film I've ever seen.
I'm going to ask a Lewis question now. What Russell Crowe films have you seen?
For Love and Thunder.
Dear me. And on that note, we're going to end the podcast.
I've got him in Gladiator, but I've not watched it.
You haven't seen Gladiator.
But I've got it. It's literally right behind us.
So, anyway, guys, thank you as always for watching. You are watching on YouTube. Thanks for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe. Lewis has shown the DVD for Yanks. If you are listening to this on Spotify, don't know why. I don't recommend Yanks.
I do.
He watches Yanks way too much. We're ending this podcast now. We're rounding things
Eddie
off.
Murphy.
Stop going about Yanks, Eddie Murphy. I'm going to whack with my wallet again. Yeah. But anyway, yes, thank you as always for watching or listening. And yeah, remember to like and subscribe. Come back for more. I look forward to many more podcasts and videos like this coming in the near distant future.
Yeah, guys, please like and subscribe.
See you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.